episode of Lotion Debates. I'm your full co-host, Dibo, my other co-host, Matt.
Almost fumbled it, but we're all good. But we're here today without our typical producer. Kind of had to do it on our own. Low key, I don't think we did a bad job.
Yeah, kind of some makeshift work from us here. If there's some issues with the audio quality, most likely from my mic coming out of this right here, our apologies with that. Hopefully, we can sell that really soon with next episodes.
Yeah, I also might be too loud, I think. I've already heard myself, spike out from being too loud. So
True.
I'm trying to keep a little bit of a distance between me and the mic, and we'll see how that works.
Yeah, not everything when it comes to the technical stuff is on point, but we are still here. It's the summertime, it's around the corner, and we are lit. So
Absolutely. Speaking about summertime, we had some lovely weather today. I know we're recording early. We got here right now at 9:45, but you're in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm in a t-shirt and jeans. I'll probably change to shorts before the end of the day. This is the weather I live for. This is the weather that I enjoy.
Absolutely, and I think the high is going to be 78 for today. So
lovely, absolutely lovely.
Fantastic weather.
The thing that sucks is you obviously know I enjoy my hiking. Where I'm born and raised in Colorado. You've, I think, lived in Colorado the vast majority of your life.
Yeah, for over a decade.
Yeah, for over a decade. So for me, I've never been a skier. I've never been a snowboarder. So the way I get use of the mountains is by hiking.
Okay.
But it's been snowstorm after snowstorm to this point in the mountains, and it's been unhikeable. So if we could have like a week straight, 2 weeks straight of weather like this, then I'll be able to hike.
Absolutely, for sure.
But what about you? You got any plans for summer?
For summer, like me, Tyler, and Danny, we gotta get something done together, man.
Yeah.
Like just have a plan.
Yeah.
We ain't hung out in person for months now. I don't remember the last time we did. So
we gotta get some B-dubs. If there's a Game 7 this series or next series, we should go to B-dubs as a group.
Bro, you and Andrew and Abdul be pulling up to Ryan too. Y'all be pulling up to McGregor Square.
Oh yeah. McGregor Square starting to get packed. I went round 1 when Nuggets were playing Lakers. For those that don't know, McGregor Square is it's like a watch party area, I would say. There's just a massive screen, and then there's kind of some local restaurants around, and people just gather around the screen and watch. And last year for the playoffs, it was packed. Nobody could sit down. I went first round, like I was mentioning, Nuggets, Lakers, and it was pretty empty. Honestly, it was pretty empty. And I've had a couple buddies go to this round, the Nuggets Timberwolves series, and it looks pretty packed in the pictures that I've seen. So it's something to keep an eye on. I'm definitely not opposed to it. That would be fun.
Yeah, for sure. How do y'all be parking there? What's parking like?
So it's right by Coors Field.
Okay.
So we just honestly find a parking area on the street. I don't know the exact name for it. We don't park in a garage. Garage is too expensive for our buck, but there's you could just park. They have parking sections.
Okay.
And it's $8 for the night, so it's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Do you have to be parallel parking or?
No. It's an actual parking lot.
Oh, okay.
It's an actual parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's completely fine.
Yeah, it's not bad. You can do parallel parking on the street if you want.
No, I'm not, bro. I don't know how to do that at all.
You don't know how to parallel park?
Mm-mm.
I'll teach you. It's super easy.
I mean, it's just, with that, why would I have to do that when I can just try to find an open parking spot?
That's true. When you parallel park, do you go front in or back? Do you back up into the spot, or do you drive into the spot?
I drive into it.
You gotta back up into it. That's your problem. If you back up into it, do you got a backup camera?
Yes, I do.
Then you're chilling. Back up into it, and it'll be a lot easier. That's what I've noticed.
Okay.
But shall we get into the episode for today?
Yeah. So a quick rundown of all of the segments. First, we are going to talk about the NBA draft lottery that just went down this past Sunday. All of our takeaways from that. And for our main segment for episode 60 of the podcast is this question: what does a chip mean for every remaining superstar? I know we talked about this before we started recording, Matt. You wanted to talk about the secondary piece as well, like
Hmm.
the second best players on these teams. So
On
we'll
some
get into
teams.
that. Yeah, on
On
some
some teams.
teams.
Because, like, the Knicks secondary piece, like, a ring isn't going to do much for Josh Hart.
No.
But, like, a ring for Rudy Gobert, Kyrie Irving, Jalen Brown does a lot more for their legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into that.
But if I could actually start off with the draft lottery, I would like to start with how history is repeating itself.
Go on.
Because obviously with the Brooklyn Nets, they made the trade for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. And in exchange, they give Boston 2 first-round picks, which ended up being a first, which ended up being the first overall pick, and then what was Jalen Brown, the third overall pick, I believe?
Yeah.
Right, and then you guys obviously traded the first pick to move back 2 spots. And right now what we're seeing is the Spurs just got the third overall pick via Brooklyn. Or excuse me, Houston. Houston got the third overall pick via Brooklyn. And Houston owns a lot more picks of Brooklyn's coming up from that James Harden trade. And I honestly think we're going to continue to see that trend. And I just feel like the Nets find themselves in the same exact spot that they were 10 years ago.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. You know, when they made the move to get KD and Kyrie in the summer of 2019, it was a whole lot of excitement from Brooklyn's camp. I mean, obviously they made the playoffs that season with D'Lo and Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, the rest of those guys.
Yeah.
But when you clearly look at that roster as it was at that time, they clearly weren't gonna be a top 10 team anytime soon.
No.
It was a very fun team.
Yeah.
I love that team. It's one of my favorite teams of all time.
Uh-huh.
But still, other than like a few playoff appearances, couple first round exits, they weren't gonna do too much. So the aggressive move to get both KD and Kyrie and even James Harden down the line to create this big 3 roster, it was a bunch of excitement, but unfortunately all the injuries, the drama, it just didn't come to be. And now the Nets, they probably have the bleakest future in the NBA right now. I mean, they have limited young assets. Their best young player, is Cam Thomas, which I'm not that very high on.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas Claxton's cool as well as one of the best defending bigs in the league. But other than that, it's just a bunch of mediocrity within that roster.
But this to me is why the NBA is the best league in America to me, because you can have a team like Brooklyn where in 2020 you sign Kevin Durant, you sign Kyrie Irving, you eventually trade for James Harden, but even before that you have good quality pieces around them like a Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, as you mentioned. And for them to go from that like championship contending team to where you're saying they have the bleakest future in a matter of 3-4 years is absolutely insane. And it shows like how the NBA is just so unpredictable. I think we've all seen that graphic of like 2019 where Jimmy is in a Timberwolves jersey, Harden's in a Rockets jersey, Russ is in a Thunder jersey, LeBron is in a Cavs jersey. All these players, and maybe it is a bad thing that there's so much player movement in the league, but it just makes the league so unpredictable where you could go from championship contender to arguably the bleakest future in a matter of 3-4 years.
Yeah, absolutely, and I just love that, and just love the consistent roster movement. These GMs making aggressive moves, getting all these major signings, seeing if they work or not. It's just exciting as a fan to see.
And then speaking of aggressive moves, obviously the Atlanta Hawks jumped up to the number 1 pick. Do you want them to keep the pick, or do you want them to make that aggressive move and trade for somebody to pair with Trey?
Trade. First of all, when it comes to trading for Atlanta, I think the partnership between DeJounte Murray and Trey, that backcourt, needs to be completely done with. And the most likely decision from that is to trade DeJounte Murray away from
For sure.
Atlanta and get whatever assets you can get for him instead. And so with the first pick, I think what Atlanta should do, and I think it's going to be the consensus move as we go along heading into draft season as well is to get Alexandre Sarr, the French big,
Yes.
with the top pick as well, creating that pick and roll duo between him and Trey, having a phenomenal defender who can also grow offensively as a player.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I would use the pick as well, and I would draft Sarr. I did see that DeJounte and Trey did a podcast together on Trey's podcast, and they were talking about their relationship being good. And, like, I agree. Like, I think your relationship can be good. You guys can be friends just like LeBron and Kyrie.
Yeah.
But as opposed to LeBron and Kyrie, it just doesn't mesh on the court.
No, it doesn't fit. I mean, you have two ball-dominant guards,
Mhm.
right? Both non-defenders, which the reason why DeJounte came into Atlanta in the first place was his defensive ability that he showed in San Antonio. And ever since he moved to Atlanta, we haven't really seen that. He's been a mediocre defender, really.
Yeah. I would really like if they could somehow trade for Lauri Markkanen. I honestly think that this pick might make Onyeka Okongwu expendable. I know that a lot of people will probably want Asar Okongwu front court as what probably Sar starting, maybe Okongwu Sar's first season in the league. But I think that Capella just doesn't have value, and
He's not good at
especially
all.
with his contract. I think he's getting like 20 a year too.
He has one more year left on his deal, and I honestly don't know what the trade market is. Like, what teams are going to look after Clint Capella?
Mm-hmm.
Because one, do you really want to get 20 mil on the books for a big that is one of the worst finishers around the rim in the entire league? We all saw that one clip, I believe, against the Warriors this season, where he completely missed around the rim from a Trae Young lob. And also with Capella, mediocre defensive ability around the rim, which that's been declining for a few years now with him as well.
Yeah, their regression has definitely set in since their deep playoff run. But I just think that if you could call Danny Ainge in Utah and be like, hey, you want DeJounte, Clint Capella will be off your books in a year. It's not like you're contending right now, and then we'll throw you next year's first or something. I don't know if that's enough. I honestly don't think it's enough. But I like the fit of Sar and Trae Young. I like how he's going to bring that rim protection, which the last time Trae Young had an elite roller and an elite rim protector, we saw how far they made it in the playoffs. And so I like pairing those two together. And then if you could just get another piece, because obviously Jalen Johnson looks like he's coming into his own. He looks like he's going to be that third piece. And then if you could find like a role player guy who maybe isn't a star, but just whether it's 3-and-D, whether it's knowing his role, whether it's just playing consistently night in and night out, that would be huge for them.
For sure.
Which now has me wanting to look at standings to see if there's a guy. Like Anthony Simons might be available this offseason. That fit doesn't entice me at all.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't want DeMar DeRozan there or Zach LaVine there.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
That'd be a horrible fit. I also want to get into one specific team.
Yeah.
The Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Now, Detroit, they were awarded with the 5th overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
That is back-to-back years now where they've been awarded said 5th overall pick, which is unfortunate due to them having 60-plus lost seasons back-to-back years. Horrendous, completely horrendous. I feel bad for the fans of the Pistons for sure. I mean, having such horrible lottery luck for how bad this team's been over the past couple of seasons is very unfortunate. But as for the organization itself, the front office, I don't feel sorry at all. I really don't. Look, man, 0 playoff wins since 2008. Since 2009, 1 season above 500. So there's only 1 season with more than 41 wins. That's how bad we are right now. 2 playoff appearances since 2010. That is horrendous.
Hold up. Can I guess some? Obviously the Blake Griffin year. And then it won't have been Josh Smith. Josh Smith was way earlier. Who else was there? Did Reggie Jackson make the playoffs with them? I think he did, yeah. Wow. It was that long ago? What year was that? Like 2013, 2014? When?
2016.
Oh, okay.
And he was on the team that lost the Cavs in that sweep first round 2016.
Oh, that was like prime Drummond, huh?
Yeah. For what it was, I remember it being a very entertaining series.
Fair enough.
Despite it being a sweep.
Fair enough.
And here I have a list of their notable first round picks since 2010. 2010, 7th overall pick, they got Greg Monroe. 2011, they got Brandon Knight. Played two seasons in Detroit, got traded. 2012, Andre Drummond, that was a good pick. 2013, they got KCP. Solid, but now with Detroit, has best ball with other teams. 2015, Stanley Johnson, bust. 2016, Henry Ellison with the 18th pick, bust. 2017, Luke Kennard, played 3 seasons and got traded. 2019, Sekou Nobuya with the 15th overall pick, complete bust. 2020, 7th overall pick, Killian Hayes. He was so bad, they had to cut him on his rookie deal. That's how atrocious he was, that no one else wanted him. And so, with me saying that, even with all these lottery picks, just the inability to help grow these players and make them develop into solid NBA guys, it's an indictment on how trash this team's been. Look, man, I understand that having the 5th overall pick after one of the worst seasons of all time for any team, it's a very bad thing. Very, very bad. But at the same time, for this front office, I can't feel bad because this team over and over and over have shown the complete inability to produce winning rosters, to produce winning talent. Even when they do draft diamonds in the rough, in the second round over the past decade or 15 years, they got Spencer Dinwiddie, Bruce Brown, and Chris Middleton all in the second round.
And Chris Wood, I think. Or Christian Wood.
I don't think they drafted Christian Wood.
I remember he was on the roster.
He was undrafted. But the 3 players I mentioned all infinitely got better on different teams.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of a Lakers situation where, like, they had Lonzo, they had Julius Randle, they had Josh Hart, and all those guys kind of excelled once they left the roster. But the difference is that those guys still showed flashes. And for me, like, yeah, they missed on all those picks, but they still have, like, a decent young core when you look at the roster. They have guys like Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, Marcus Sasser. And to me, it kind of shows that there's a problem in the culture and with the organization because there's no reason this team should be dead last. You can't tell me this team is worse than a team starting Jordan Poole and Johnny Davis for some games, or the Hornets who barely had LaMelo this year. You can't tell me that this team is worse than that team if we compare rosters. And I just think that it's the culture and the organization.
It is. They had a generationally bad season, and they are going to run it back with the same GM and Troy Weaver and Monty Williams as their head coach, where they've clearly shown they're incapable of having their jobs with this team. I am sorry.
Yeah. No, I agree. It just doesn't look good. And I would also say, like, it's kind of weird seeing all the complacency between the bottom feeder teams, right? Like, we've heard stuff about Chauncey Billups in Portland. Like, he's still there. Obviously, you mentioned Monty Williams is still in Detroit. I mean, Pop's never going to leave Spurs. He's got that job till he wants it.
No, he's Teflon.
Yeah.
Teflon.
But, I mean, Washington, they not only didn't fire their coach, they promoted him to a GM position. Same with the Hornets. And then the Raptors I'm actually not upset about. The Raptors I kind of like. Darko Rajovic.
They're low-key, I wouldn't say dark horse, but they're a good contender to be a playing team next year. I like what they're building in Toronto.
Yeah.
Even though it is unfortunate that San Antonio got their first-round pick.
Yeah, they were tanking crazy hard to try to keep it.
That's true.
But I mean, they still got a really enticing young core. But yeah, they were losing all they could to try to keep it. They were on, at some point, I thought it was like a 14-game losing streak.
Yeah, it's not good, like, at all.
But they got quickly. They got Scotty Barnes. They'll be good. They'll be good.
It's a nice young core to develop in the future.
But I don't know. I just don't like the complacency when you're losing these games. Like, I understand for some teams it is different because, hey, this is a rebuilding time. We are supposed to be bad. Maybe we see some flashes or some sparks or adjustments from the coach and we want to keep him for that. I understand that. But for the Pistons, your roster, I think, is better than a 14-win team. And yes, they play hard, but it just doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. And I just don't like the complacency.
Mm-hmm. So one more thing, if that's okay with you,
Yeah.
is the Spurs. They were awarded with the 4th and 8th overall pick
Yeah.
in this year's draft.
Yeah.
My question for you, Matt, should they make the big splash to get the star guy or continue to develop by drafting with those 2 first-round picks?
It depends. And it depends on what star guy is available.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I would honestly try to trade or package the picks for a guy like Anthony Simons, maybe. I don't think that's a horrible idea. But I don't really see a lot of other players on the market this offseason. And because of that, I would probably just use the picks and try to build around Wemby. Like, try to get some complementary pieces around Wemby.
If they were able to trade picks for Anthony Simons, I would rather them use the 8th instead of the 4th, if that's possible. But if that were to happen hypothetically, I would like them move as well for San Antonio.
Yeah. Even though, like, I mean, how old is Anthony Simons now?
He should be 24, around that.
Let's see. He is 24. Yeah, you got it on the head. So, like, one, he kind of fits the timeline. And then two, I like the idea of building around Wemby and getting young pieces around him. But I think giving him another all-star caliber, quality starter caliber player to elevate his game is going to do wonders for him. Because if he can start playing at that elite level earlier, that's just going to exponentially better his career.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And for the Spurs, if they were to keep both first-round picks for this year,
Mm-hmm.
you do have to worry about too many peas in the pot, too many young pieces to try to develop and try to get that chemistry going.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem that we saw with OKC with all their draft picks because literally earlier this year they had to trade Trey Mann and Misic basically for nothing, and then they also literally just dropped Poku for nothing. And it's like they literally traded up a couple years ago in the draft to draft Ousmane Dieng. Ousmane Dieng hasn't even played.
He's not even in the rotation.
Yeah. And so it kind of is like, yeah, there is too many peas in the pot. There's too many chefs in the kitchen because you do have all these players. And the only thing that I would say it might be different between the Thunder and the Spurs situation is how many players on the Spurs have proven to me to be a starter. Because it's Devin Vassell, maybe Jeremy Sohan and Wemby. Like, I'm not sold on Keldon Johnson as a player.
No, me neither.
So, like, do I think there's too many peas in the pot? Yes. But do I think that they just need talent at the end of the day? Yes. And I think that might be a different situation as opposed to the Thunder.
Fairs.
But I would like them to package it. I would like them to package it.
I would too, but at the same time, I wouldn't be completely shocked if they just kept both picks. I mean, the West is completely stacked.
Yeah.
You have OKC, Minnesota, Denver, teams like them. They're going to be contending for the next 5 years at minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have up-and-coming teams like a Houston. They're on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Teams that had a very down year for their circumstances in Memphis as well.
Yeah, Memphis got bad lottery luck as well. They fell.
True. That's very true. So for the Spurs in their front office, they might have the mindset that, do we really want to make the splash play when in the gauntlet of a conference like this? If we were to make that move, it might not even be a complete certain that we would be a top 5, 6 seeded team even, trying to speed up the timeline.
Yeah.
So I think they would try to make the conservative play, go for the singles instead of the home run play, and try to build within the draft instead.
Who would you like them to draft at 4? If we're assuming Sar's going at 1, I personally think Topic is going to Washington.
His
But
injury might be at play. He just got hurt.
True,
Lower body injury.
true. Everybody's scared to pass on the Europeans now, though.
That's true. Europeans just getting way more love in the top 10. I remember, when we were like little a decade ago, the Porzingis draft, they were getting cooked a lot. It was bad PR for the Europeans, man.
Not even that. I remember, funny enough, Ryan Hollins was the only dude who was saying Luka should be the first overall pick.
That's true.
And they were all saying Marvin Bagley and DeAndre Ayton should be 1 and 2.
I ain't like that at all, really.
No, I wanted Luka, but I didn't even know about the draft. I kind of just saw Luka played for Madrid and liked it.
Yeah. Ooh, so at 4,
Yeah.
If Topic is off the board
And
and they desperately need a guard, and I think with this player who is like one of the best available in my opinion when it comes to top 5 in this draft, I think Rob Dillingham would be the right pick out of Kentucky.
I like Rob Dillingham. That's not a bad pick. I've also been hearing a lot about the point guard Castle from UConn. UConn, what do you think about that fit?
I don't think it would be a great fit. The playmaking's not really there. I do like his size and length, and his potential is very high. He's got one of the highest ceilings in this draft class, in my opinion. But just for this team, I don't think it would be a very good fit.
What do you think about the idea of the Spurs packaging their picks to move up?
Oh.
If they think Topic is that guy and they want to pair the 2 Frenchmen. Because Topic definitely is, I think he's the best playmaker in the draft.
That's very true.
Yeah.
You're right about that. I think it's very possible. And I wouldn't be shocked if that would happen. I actually like the move, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm high on Topics in this year's draft.
Yeah. They could also get, what's his name in the G League? Matas Buzelis, or is that how you say it? I think that's his. I've been hearing he's supposed to be good. But he's also a wing. They kind of don't need to worry about wings as much.
He's a little bit on the raw side, where with the Spurs right now you have Sohan, who is still developing, trying to create his own as an NBA player in this league, which I'm actually very high on Sohan as a player. Got a lot of bad rep for him playing as a point guard this season, which I don't think it's really on him. I think it's more on Pop not utilizing his talent to the best ability. Yeah.
No, I would agree with that because you can only succeed as much as you can in a position that you're in, and if you're not put in the right position, it's going to be hard to exceed.
Yeah, Sohan is a great secondary ball handler when it comes to making the right read, finding the right guy within his position, but having him run the offense, bring the ball up the court, it was not going to be a good fit at all due to his weaknesses as a playmaker. And ball handler especially.
I could see Sohan, and maybe this is like too much of a projection, but if like the Spurs end up being really good and Wemby is everything that we think he's going to be, I could see Sohan being like an Aaron Gordon type piece for them, because I think Wemby can definitely hang on the perimeter, and then that'll let Sohan be in the dunker spot, and then obviously we know what he brings on the defensive side of the court. That's where I think he impacts the game the most. So, I mean, if he turns into something like that, I think they would be really happy.
Very, very happy.
But shall we get into the main segment?
Love Sohan, man. That's my guy. Got a bad rep again. Have to say that. But, Sohan FC will be back stronger than ever next season for sure.
Sohan's from where? Poland?
Yeah,
Poland, yeah.
I think he was born in UK, actually. I think born and raised.
Fair enough. Yeah. He does got an accent, like a British accent a little bit.
He do.
But
he got his own swag. I fuck with Sohan, so.
Swag is questionable. It's like that Dennis Rodman swag.
But, hey, swag is swag.
Swag is swag. Every person got different swag. It's like...
Hey, if you rocking how you rocking, then, like, bro, it's swag.
It's like music taste. Everybody got something different that they like.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we wouldn't be rocking the same swag that he got with his fits. Like, it's not for us. We more on the casual side.
Nah, no. With all due respect, you know who has the worst swag I've ever seen?
Who?
Tyrese Halliburton. I've been seeing his fits more and more, especially because they're playing my Knicks.
Yeah.
Worst fits in the league. I'm sorry.
Bro, I mean, LP with a few fits I've enjoyed from Tyrese,
Uh-huh.
but the Inspector Gadget fit, the one fit where he had like the fur around like the
His wrist?
forearms, forearm area.
Uh-huh.
I don't like that. That's too like on like the extra for my liking. For
No, he was like, I saw he had like a gray vest, cargo shorts, and super high white socks, like damn near to his knees, carrying like a big ass Louis Vuitton briefcase. I was like, you just don't look right.
yeah, like goofy.
Goofy.
I love Tyrese, but I don't know. We not fashion people, but hey man, it's I don't think the fit's right.
All I'm saying, if I had that type of money and I was putting that type of money into my outfit like he is, I think I could do something better.
Man, I'm rocking out like Shea if I had that type of money.
Shit, I'm rocking. Well, Shea do low key he's definitely in the starting 5 for league fits.
Bro, the fit he had on in the All-Star game pregame, bro, that was nice.
Well, all due respect, I'm pulling up like Herb Jones.
Herb Jones, what Herb Jones be wearing?
He'd just be wearing a Pelicans t-shirt and some sweats.
That's fair. Hey man, everybody rocking different styles, man. So
Yeah.
you gotta be a Kyle Kuzma or like Matt said, you can be a Herb Jones. So hey, whatever fits you.
Save that bread.
For real.
Save that bread. But let's get into this main segment.
That's true.
Let's get into this main segment. What team do you want to start with? Or you can explain the main segment first.
Yeah, so again, the question, what does a chip mean for every remaining superstar? Pretty straightforward. I mean, we're going to go through all of the remaining seven teams. I left out Cleveland, if you don't mind, because Donovan Mitchell got injured, of course, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So we can't really talk about him now because he could possibly be out for the rest of the year
Uh-huh.
if we beat Cleveland's ass on Wednesday, which we really should. But, hey, with these remaining 7 teams, we're going to talk about all the superstars and if they were to win a chip, what would that mean for their legacy and their current status in the league. So
Yeah. Where do you want to start off?
I want to start with Minnesota.
All right. Go ahead. You made the thumbnail, and I can tell what you're thinking.
Hey, man. Let's start with that guy, the league's hottest star right now,
Uh-huh.
Anthony Edwards. If he led the Minnesota Timberwolves to their first ever title in franchise history,
Mm-hmm.
it could mean a whole lot of things. Let's talk about on the court. Obviously, he would be the clear best shooting guard in the league. Over the past year, he's made a big name for himself, being in those debates alongside of Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell as well. Win the chip, get Finals MVP, that would be completely out the question. Also, for the top 10 in the NBA, he would be a lock as well, in my opinion. Also trying to compete for one of the top 5 spots. And with the finals, talking about that, he would be the youngest player to lead a team to the chip since D-Wade did it with the Heat back in 2006. D-Wade was 24 in 2006. Anthony Edwards was 22.
Yeah.
So just counting the unprecedented factor in the history, if that were to happen, it's just insane for a guy as young as Anthony Edwards leading a team like Minnesota who've desperately been hungry for success over their history, haven't really gotten success in their history, one of the worst teams in their history. And for him to lead this speed run, potentially taking down the defending champs, led by the greatest player in the world right now, Nikola Jokic. And then in the finals, if they do play against Boston, one of the greatest teams we've seen in the past decade, if he were to completely run through that gauntlet, that would be completely insane.
Yeah.
And let's not get into the off the court stuff. I mean, come on, like clear face in the league, which the NBA has desperately needed, who are desperately looking for that set face of the league as well.
Yeah, for sure. Between the freestyle right before the draft, between his comments about how he used to be the cleanup 3-4 hitter, golf, soccer, whatever it was, he said he was the lead at it. He's definitely looking like the future face of the league. And one thing that I don't really like, but we've been seeing a lot of, is Anthony Edwards getting compared to MJ.
No, that's stupid.
Right.
No, that's stupid.
I completely agree. But MJ didn't win his first ring until he was 27. Anthony Edwards is on the verge of winning it. Or verge might be a stretch, but they look like a very good team. They would definitely look like a contender. And he's only 22. And one thing that I was saying earlier in the year, I had him as my 5th player on the All-NBA first team. Over Brunson, over Tatum. And I honestly felt like he was somewhat disrespected, as he never was a talking point for that 5th spot, despite them being basically the 1 seed for majority of the year in the West. And I think that that's something that kind of doesn't get talked about enough when you win a championship. Because, for Jokic, who's up here, Denver and Jokic don't really get a lot of media attention. And when they won a ring, it was kind of forced, that media attention. Minnesota is in a position where they're the North. It's always cold. Them and the Vikings have never won a championship. Nobody wants to be up there reporting. If he wins it at 22, he's going to be poised for all NBA teams. He's going to be poised for All-Stars, and he's going to be poised for the face of the league. And I just think that media attention that comes with a ring is going to elevate him to such a high position in the league.
Look, man, he's got the swag, the personality,
the
aura, media friendly as well. They love him right now. And if he were able to win a chip with this Timberwolves team, which the series is tied 2-2, but they can possibly beat Denver, I believe, in 7. And then the conference finals, if they do beat the winner of the OKC Mavs series, and finals if they do beat Boston in that series as well. To wrap it up this year with a chip and a potentially finals MVP, oh, man, it's over. That debate is over. The league will clearly be his from a marketing standpoint. Yeah.
And I want to say something, because you mentioned his personality, you mentioned his aura, his play style. But we got to talk about his mentality, because between talking to Murray after the game, between taking questions that Cat was getting asked and stepping up and answering the questions for Cat about his defense, doing all that stuff, just being a good teammate. It's not something you see for a guy who's 22 on this big of a stage.
No, I mean, I don't want to get on him too much, but LaMelo Ball in Charlotte, they're the same age, really. And
wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I believe LaMelo was 22 as well. Fact check on that if you can for me, but
I got you.
The 9-day difference between the two, it's insane, and that's a huge credit to Edwards' character and his mentality ever since he's been in the league.
But that's what's really crazy, because I remember LaMelo was born in 01, so he's hold on. He is
22.
Hold on. He's 14. No. He's 17 days older than Anthony Edwards. But for Anthony Edwards, I remember when he was coming out of Georgia and was entering the draft, and he obviously dropped that freestyle video, a lot of teams were kind of questioning his mentality, and those were the reports. Was oh, is he going to choose baseball? Is he going to choose football? Now he's posting this freestyle. A lot of teams were questioning this mentality, and for him to show that maturity and basically I had him as the best player in the playoffs, you had him as your second best player in the playoffs, and we're hearing the quotes about, I'm just going to kill anybody in front of me. He's talking to the defending champs. He's respecting the defending champs. That's exactly what you want to see from a franchise player.
For sure. And I didn't want to get on LaMelo like that. I had to use him as an example.
No, I thought it was good.
A big LaMelo Ball guy. Obviously, we're going to be LaMelo FC is going to be on the comeback next year, hopefully. But as an example, I want to use him to prove my point.
I mean, I could use a better example, I think. And this guy's 2 years older than Anthony Edwards, but John Morant.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
No?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, obviously, I get where you're coming from with the off-the-field issues, but on the court, he's led Memphis to multiple playoff appearances.
That's true.
Even being a top 2 seed in that 21-22 season as well. So the results have been there on the court for Ja and the Grizzlies.
By the way, I am planning to do a thing, and I'll spoil the segment a little bit. I'm not really going to spoil that much. But I was planning on doing top 10 moments of the NBA season, coming in with a list and doing a blind ranking like we've done before. And one of the things on my list was going to be Ja Morant's first game back buzzer beater. So I'm excited for that list. But we mentioned how I wanted to talk about some secondary pieces as well with these legacies. And I think that Rudy Gobert is one of those players that can really affect his legacy with a ring. Because in Rudy Gobert's career, I think he's, four-time DPOY right now?
Yeah, now four-time. Yeah.
Now four-time DPOY. Congratulations. Well-deserved. But although he's been great defensively in the regular season, we've always had questions about it in the postseason. And if he can get a ring, then that would completely end that narrative of him being a poor defender in the playoffs.
And especially for people like you, Matt.
I mean, have I been wrong, though? So far. Now, if he gets a ring, then I'm 100% wrong.
Although he played a much better second half on Sunday, especially when guarding Jamal Murray on the perimeter. I thought he did a good job on that end.
Uh-huh.
Hey man, the public on Gobert's performance wasn't the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously the travel Jokic had
Pulled the chair.
Yeah, he pulled the chair. That was nasty to see, which it's expected because Gobert is not the most refined offensive talent as a big, which is unfortunate for his size especially, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
To be fair, I think his offensive game would be better. Are we good?
Yeah, Seth just came in.
Bet. Producers here. But going back on topic with Rudy, his offensive game obviously isn't well catered to the time right now, but I do think that if he played in a different era, it would be a lot better.
For sure.
But I just think that if he could get a ring, it's going to do wonders for his legacy. I think Cat's probably the secondary piece if we're really talking about it. But I just think I honestly think Rudy might have the most to gain from the Timberwolves with a ring.
Yeah, just being the defensive anchor. Obviously, over his career with the Jazz, every postseason, the narrative was that Gobert, his defensive ability completely falls off, which with the Jazz and how they restructured during him and Mitchell's time there, it wasn't the best, especially for his defensive skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, hey, man, when you have such limited perimeter defending, what can you do for a big like Gobert to consistently guard all over the court, having him stretched out?
Yeah. No, I agree. I just think that a ring, I mean, we had that Hall of Fame episode. I obviously have him Hall of Fame. I think a ring makes him first ballot.
For sure.
But shall we move on to the other team in that series, in the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, let's talk about Nikola Jokic. Do you want to get into that?
I mean, I actually want to start somewhere else with Nikola Jokic. And it's not even with Nikola Jokic, but it's with Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
What Shaq is doing, look, I understand if you have Shea for MVP. You obviously have Shea for MVP. But with what Shaq is doing, I honestly think it's lame. I might have heard KB call it lame, but between telling Jokic that he had Shea for MVP literally 30 minutes after, and then a day later posting a reel where he posts all the analysts saying how they had Shea, I thought that's kind of lame. Jokic is obviously coming for your legacy. That's what this is for, greatest big of all time, where he kind of starts to enter that debate, maybe just a little bit if he does get this second ring. But for Shaq to be posting this and going after it, it kind of shows he might be a little insecure.
No, and obviously what he did on TNT when Jokic got his MVP trophy, that whole announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very annoying from a viewer myself.
Yeah.
Just to see that this man Jokic's moment, although people are saying, oh, does he really care about MVP? I think he does, really, because you bust your ass off to get where you're at right now as a second-round overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
To be now a three-time MVP winner. I mean, you have to care at some point. I know Jokic is not going to outright say it, but
no,
you have to care, really, to be the best player in the league consistently. And for Shaq to completely ruin that moment is unacceptable, especially for the media position that he has for a major network.
Especially he's on TNT, right? And every single year, TNT announces the All-Stars. And sometimes when you're announcing All-Stars, you're going to get the obvious names: LeBron James, Giannis, Steph Curry, Joel Embiid, yada, yada, yada. But you're also going to get the kind of surprise names like Karl Anthony Towns and Paulo Banchero. And we obviously know like Shaq makes his own list and he announces it on his podcast, and there's different names that come into the actual All-Star game versus Shaq's list.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he doesn't discredit the All-Stars that made it and we're like, "Oh, I didn't have Cat. I had this guy instead." No. But when it comes to MVP, he's doing that, and I just don't like that.
No, not at all. And with Shaq critiquing bigs over the years, it's very apparent. Very, very apparent. I mean, I remember all the years with him completely crapping on Dwight Howard's name and legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one, because he used the Superman name, which I thought that was completely dumb to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And two, because Dwight Howard at his absolute peak with the Orlando Magic was such a dominant player.
Yeah.
He should make the Hall of Fame easily, by the way, like first
I agree.
ballot.
He should have
Just
been
no
NBA
excuse.
75.
Yeah, that too, but obviously politics were in play.
But, sorry to interrupt, but I also think part of why he was taking those shots at Dwight Howard was because he was kind of competing with Shaq for that best Orlando big, for the best Orlando Magic center of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where just like Shaq kind of loses some credibility, in my opinion, where the bias kind of starts to creep into his judgment and argument.
For sure. But in general, what another ring would mean to Jokic,
Mm-hmm.
obviously on the thumbnail, he would be or strengthen his resume as the greatest big of all time. To me, there are only 6 bigs where you can debate his status, Jokic, with the other all-time bigs in the history of the NBA.
All right, let me guess. Let me guess. So Shaq would have been my first guess.
Obviously, yeah.
Shaq, Kareem, Wilt. All right, so now it starts to get harder.
It shouldn't be
Tim
that
Tim
hard.
Duncan? Are you counting Tim Duncan? Okay,
Yeah.
Tim Duncan. 5 and 6. Am I blanking on like some obvious names?
Yeah.
5 and 6. I don't think you would have Dwight Howard above him.
No.
Your Larry Bird's not a big. I hope.
No.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It shouldn't take that long.
Who am I blanking on? Give me a hint on one of the guys.
Both played for Western Conference teams.
Both plays for Western. It's not about Bob McAdoo. Are those teams in the playoffs right now? Or no?
Fucking Bob McAdoo.
Hold on, let me pull up.
One team, well, both teams the dude was on, they were in the playoffs recently. They got eliminated in the first round.
They got eliminated in the first round.
One in each conference.
One in each conference. I thought you said both were West.
No. Oh, I meant that initially, but for the specific player that we're talking about, he played for one team in each conference.
Oh, okay. Damn, I'm actually blinking.
Do you want me to just say it?
Yeah, go for it.
Kareem.
I said Kareem.
You did?
Kareem was the second guy I said.
No, I did not hear Kareem.
Kareem was the second guy I said.
Okay, so basically Shaq, Hakeem, Russell,
Oh.
Duncan, and Kareem. Those are the bigs he's going up against Jokic when it comes to all-time bigs list.
Oh, I should definitely got Bill Russell.
Yeah.
You heard I said Hakeem. I said Kareem. That's where it was.
Okay.
That's where it was. I should have got Hakeem though. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's fair. I think that Jokic definitely enters that conversation. He definitely has the debate conversation with each and every single one of those guys if he gets the ring. And now he's a 3-time MVP. He'll be a 2-time champion if they win, 2-time Finals MVP, best playmaker at the big position of all time.
Best offensive player of all time.
Yeah. The conversation is really there. And I honestly think that with the ring he could. I mean, I was going to say I think with the ring he's definitely over Hakeem.
So top 10? Because to me, he's a top 15 lock. Top 10, I'm not sure. The biggest critique I have for him when going into the top 10 list, even with Steph Curry as well, is their impact defensively.
Yeah. But I mean, that's part of why basketball is a team sport, though, is so you get guys like Draymond Green and Aaron Gordon who help that side of the basketball.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. But when it comes to the top 10, you look at all the players mentioned in said top 10. The players are two-way elite guys, like a Kobe, like a Timmy D, like a Shaq, like a Hakeem, like a Kareem. All those guys I've mentioned, they've made multiple all-defensive teams and also won DPOIs. neither Jokic or Curry have won a single depoy or been on an all-defensive team, and that's probably not going to be the case for the rest of their careers.
No, it won't. It won't. And that's a fair point. I mean, that's definitely the argument against them, for sure. If you're arguing Hakeem, Timmy D, Kareem, anybody is the defensive Jokic, because that is, for sure, the biggest flaw in his game, even if I think it's a little overstated. It definitely is the biggest flaw in his game. But you could also make the argument that just the offensive game elevates him, but he doesn't have that two-way ability.
No. The only non-two-way threat in the top 10 unanimously is Magic Johnson. And even then, Magic Johnson led one of the greatest dynasties of all time while also being probably the greatest playmaker of all time, while being as great as he was right off the jump,
No, Magic was a good defender.
No, he wasn't a good defender.
Rookie year, he was playing center. Rookie year, he literally played center in an NBA Finals and won.
Because it was an emergency because of his size and Kareem's injury, obviously.
Yeah, but he still played well at the center. That versatility 1 through 5 definitely affects that defense. I think switchability, I think the versatility to guard any position is definitely a trait that all defenders should look for.
I understand that, but Magic was not a good defender in his career. Although he had the build to be a good defender, and he wasn't, really. Which I'm not going to crap on his legacy for that. I mean, he's still the greatest point guard of all time, in my opinion, and a near top 5 player unanimously. So, had a great career regardless of that.
That's fair. But if I want to stay with my secondary piece, that Jamal Murray Hall of Fame take really starts to cook up.
He's not stepping the Hall of Fame, if you put that man in the Hall of Fame, burn it. Just like Eli making the Hall of Fame for football, bro, burn it.
Well, Eli probably will make it
because of his name.
Yeah, if he's Peyton's brother, it might not be. But
yeah, exactly.
But I don't know.
But I'm sorry, Eli should not make the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
I mean, I like that. I wouldn't disagree.
He should not make the Hall of Fame.
I wouldn't disagree.
But that's a topic for another day, really.
But man, I would put him. I mean, I'm not gonna put him after the second championship in the Hall of Fame.
No,
he's gonna have to win some more. But I think he puts him on a very good trajectory.
Nah, I'm not saying very good trajectory. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Oh, don't worry, I can.
How are we gonna put a guy in the Hall of Fame with no All-Star appearances, no All-NBA appearances?
Because he wouldn't be the first guy in the NBA Hall of Fame without an All-Star.
Hey! At some point, we gotta put Chris Middleton in the Hall of Fame too as well.
Nah.
Hey, if we're trying to go there, Chris Middleton had great playoff series too as well.
He had one elite playoff run.
That's cap.
Name another run. This year first round loss.
He had great series. He had great series as well. He was great. He was great this year too without Dame and Giannis.
Yeah, this year, yeah, and the year that they won, but the bubble year he wasn't good. Last year he wasn't good.
He wasn't good in the bubble year. That's cap. He was good in the bubble year. The reason why they beat Miami that series, that one game, was because of Chris Middleton when Giannis was injured.
Well, Chris Middleton wasn't good in the Orlando series.
He was good in the Orlando series. I remember.
No. John Isaac had the Locks that series.
I remember him being good in the Orlando series. Don't do that. Don't do
that. Even if you say he's good, he's not a better playoff performer than Jamal. I wouldn't argue that. I would hope you wouldn't argue that.
No, I would say Jamal, but if we're gonna go that route, then why not put Chris Middleton there?
Because Chris Middleton would only have one ring. I'm saying Jamal still has to win more than 2 rings, if to be that Hall of Fame. You're saying off 1 ring and what, 2 All-Stars, or what? Is Chris Middleton 2 All-Stars? I don't know how many All-Stars.
He
had 3 All-Stars. I don't know. I just think Murray's shown the flashes in the playoffs consistently every time he's been healthy, been the missing piece. Nuggets have been first-round exits every single time he's been injured. Every single time he's been healthy, they've made it to a conference finals minimum. We'll see what they do this year. I think the argument can start to cook, especially depending on what he does. Because last year he was breaking records in the NBA Finals while also hitting game-winning shots.
I understand that. I do understand that, and I see where you're coming from. I really do. But hey, you gotta see this. Check this out.
Yeah.
Look what's on this list. Look at the awards section. Look here.
That's fine.
See how blank it is?
That's fine.
It's blank.
It's blank.
That's
Look,
fine.
It's blank.
How many?
Look at all the white. Look at all the white. Look at all the white on the right hand
Bet.
side. It's blank.
How many awards does Tony Kukoc have?
Look, bro. He's one of the greatest European players of all time and had a great European career. It's completely different. Same as Vlade Divac.
That's fine, bro. I'm not putting Tilos Milodosic in the NBA Hall of Fame.
No, bro. Do not do that. Do not do that. He didn't have as great of an impact as a European player than those two I just mentioned, Kukoc and Divac. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because the resume for the European players, like a Rita Sabonis, a Kukoc, like a Divac,
sure,
it's completely different.
Sure.
I mean, you can put Luka in the Hall of Fame for what he did in Europe as well when you're MVP.
But I mean, if you're gonna make the argument that he's not an all-star in the most talented league with the most talented guard class of all time, I mean, if he goes to Europe, Jamal Murray's easily the best player in the European continent.
Oh, yeah, but he's not in Europe though. So how's that my problem?
Sure, but
how's that my problem?
I just think it's a wishy-washy argument.
No, that's not wishy-washy argument.
But
it's not my fault you're not playing in Europe. Hey, bro. Hey, the impact for the European players when it comes to the Euro League and stuff like that, the Olympics, it's completely different. Bro, Manu got stamped for winning gold with Argentina at the Olympics of 2000. So
yeah. So what if Jamal gets one All-Star? That's the deciding factor for you?
No, it's not.
Okay. I'm just wondering, like, what's the threshold?
Well, make at least 2-3 All-Star games, then we'll have a conversation. Maybe make an All-NBA third team, shoot. But don't bring these Hall of Fame talks to the Hall of very good players.
No.
Jamal is a very good player. He'll go down if the Nuggets possibly have a dynasty going on within the next couple of years. He'll go down as one of the greatest sidekicks of all time. Hey, man, salute to him. But when it comes to him being in the Hall of Fame, no, completely throw it out in the trash.
I would if Hall of Good doesn't turn into Hall of Fame every playoff.
It's not, bro.
It has for him. It's undeniably most fourth quarter points in that first quarter series of any player in NBA history. In the fourth quarter of a playoffs.
Okay. When it comes to at least point guards of his era, who's he better than?
Well, that's the conversation. That's why when you look at the West, the guard class is stacked.
I know he's not top 5. He's not even top 5 in his conference. If we could look at it.
Well, that's fine, and I'm not going to argue he is, but I also think that the guys above him are on a Hall of Fame trajectory, in a sense. Steph is.
But they've done way more, even as first options, than Jamal, who's clearly a number 2, playing with the greatest offensive player we've ever seen in the history of the NBA.
That's fine.
He's got a huge advantage.
That's fine, but those same guys don't have a ring like he does.
What do you mean, same guys?
I mean, outside of that, every guard in the West outside of Steph doesn't have a ring, basically.
And okay, so every guard in the West as a number 1 option have infinitely done better work than Murray as a number 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think being a number 2 and showing up every playoffs and being reliable and winning multiple championships means something in the league.
It does mean something, but it doesn't mean Hall of Fame worthy.
I don't know. I also think if they're playing if this is the same roster on the Lakers, I think Murray's an all-star. Just with that media.
The same roster with the Lakers? Bro, yes, Austin Reeves got the same media. He never been in All-Star talks at all.
Because is Austin Reeves the same player as Jamal?
No, but I'm just saying. The same guy that was on the Team USA roster back in the summer.
That's L.A. for you. That's that L.A. media for you.
Possibly be true.
I don't know. One, obviously Jamal's dealt with his injuries. That's part of the no All-Stars. But the disrespect that you get playing alongside the best player in the world is a thing as well. I don't know. I think he's on a trajectory. Is all I'm gonna say.
He's not, bro. He's not gonna sniff the Hall of Fame.
That's fair. We also will never agree on that. That's been
never sniff the Hall of Fame. If I see that man, in Ohio, having a Hall of Fame speech, bro, I'm turning the TV off immediately once I see that. You gotta burn the whole facility down if that happens. That's a disgrace. I'm sorry.
I'm not letting a first half of the season fan vote make my decision.
First half of the season fan vote. Hey, bro. Hey, what about the end of the season media vote and player vote?
I mean, that's top 15 players. I mean, what's the most games Jamal Murray has ever played? At some point,
you gotta set the standard.
The standard is championships. That's always been the most important thing to me. I rather be a top 2 player in the NBA Finals than a top 15 player in the regular season. But that's just me, personally. But should we move on to the next series? By the way, you're telling me about All-Star. Since 2020, this is his games played. 59, 48, 65, 59.
Not my problem.
It's going to be hard to be All-NBA, but if you can be there when it matters the most and show up when it matters the most, that's what I care about.
Stay healthy in 82-game season, then get the All-Stars, get the All-NBAs, then we'll talk about Hall of Fame. That's my opinion.
Okay. Let's move on to the next West series then.
Yeah.
You can start us off.
Do you want to go with Shea or Luka?
Let's start with the Mavs because this is what I'm most excited for. This was my take. But go ahead because my take is about that second guy in Dallas.
Yeah, so for Luka with this chip, especially for how poorly he's been in this postseason, in my opinion, if he could turn around, lead this Mavs team as the best player, at which we've all labeled him as, and also a top 3, top 5 talent in this league, if he would be able to lead the Mavs to the promised land, the first time since obviously Dirk won it in 2011, he would be stamped even without the lack of MVPs in his time as a player in the NBA.
Yeah, he probably starts to enter that conversation of best Maverick of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally kind of puts to rest all the narratives that are going on around him, where it's like, is he a stat hunter? He doesn't come into the regular season fit. He likes to do the hookah. Like all these kind of narratives around him and surrounding him in general, kind of just go away with a ring. And that's the same thing I said for Rudy. Just the ring solves so much stuff.
Absolutely. Hey, I don't think it's possible, but if that were to happen this year, then it would do wonders for his legacy, especially with how young he is and how much he has left in this league.
For sure. And we talked about with the Timberwolves and kind of Ant not getting the media shine. A lot of people say Luka has voter fatigue for an award that he's never won in that MVP. And I obviously had Jokic as my MVP this year because he came off that finals. Media was going to be watching him a lot more. You get that benefit. I think Luka can finally start to win that MVP if he does win a championship.
That's true. But when it comes to his MVP narratives,
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think it's been gassed up. I mean, you don't win MVP, especially even for recency with the award and being handed out to players. You don't win MVP for being a playing team for the majority of the year as their best player. I'm sorry, but it is what it is.
No, you don't. I agree. Playing team is a bit harsh. Just because
they were within those playing spots for the majority of the year.
Yeah, but they were great.
The last
they
month
were
or two of the season.
They were a top 5 team when he and Kyrie were
Yeah,
healthy.
I do understand the Kyrie injury really screwed him over, but still, the facts are the facts.
That's fair. I'm not going to argue that. But what I will argue is for Kyrie Irving. And this is what I was so excited for today. Kyrie Irving with LeBron James was obviously the Batman, the second option, right? The sidekick, whatever you want to call it. Was a phenomenal 2. Hit the game-winning shot, arguably the biggest shot in NBA history, won a ring. If we fast forward to 2021 when the Bucks won a championship, I think that him being the second option there with KD, they blew the Bucks out in the first 2 games of that series. He and James Harden go down and they lose the series. I personally am a very, very firm believer that if those injuries don't happen, they win the championship, but that's hypotheticals. But if we fast forward to this year, with the Mavericks, him playing with Luka, was their best player in the first round, I think undeniably. He's probably been their best player this series. Maybe not.
You could say
PJ Washington, I was honestly about to say. But if they win a ring this year, he would obviously be a huge piece. And I would honestly think that he would enter the conversation of best sidekicks in the NBA history. Now, I would obviously have like Scottie Pippen above him and
Clay also.
Dwayne Wade, I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he would honestly start to enter that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Kyrie, his career post-Cleveland, the PR with Kyrie Irving has been very poor, both on and off the court. In the playoffs, the history and the resume has been very lackluster in my eyes. And if you were able to lead this Dallas team to a chip alongside Luka as a number 2, stepping up when we needed to, it would completely change the entire narrative with him not being a winning player outside of his time with LeBron in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. He's definitely been the burden of bad news, whether it was his time in Brooklyn and not being able to be on the court, whether it was posting some bad stuff on his IG story, whatever it is, it's been like a dark cloud surrounding Kyrie. And so if he can just continue to grind like he's been doing all season, we obviously talked about it last episode where he's honestly been like one of the true breakout stars. Not even breakout stars because we know what he is, but kind of just getting that recognition for it now. It would do wonders for his career. And I think Hall of Fame would be a lock.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, but I think he enters that number 2, like that conversation for one of the best 2s, because obviously we're not counting that time in Boston because he was the number 1 on their team. But with LeBron, they made the NBA Finals for 4 consecutive years when he was there. Obviously won one of them. Lost 3 because they were going against a super team, yada, yada, yada. Then with the Nets, like I said, I'm a firm believer if he stays healthy, but that's a contingency that we shouldn't have. And then if he wins this year, I think there's a legit argument. I'm not saying he's number 1. I think Scottie Pippen is like number 1 for arguably forever, maybe, which is never what you want to say, but like who's a better number 2 than Scottie Pippen?
I mean, you could put Kobe in there if you want to be technical with that.
Nah, because what? How many rings does Kobe have as a number 2? Just 2?
No, 3. The 3-peat.
3?
Yeah, 3.
That's fair. I mean, I guess.
Well, technically, because Shaq was the best
better.
player.
Yeah, I would agree.
But also, you can also factor in that it was a 1A, 1B type thing in LA as well.
Yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would say. But I mean, Kobe does have the fact that he won on his own. Kyrie doesn't have that.
Yeah, when we're talking about number 2s, we were talking about clear number 2s, like gap between the first and best player.
Yeah.
The first and second best player.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up to see. I mean, Pau Gasol doesn't have a bad argument, but I mean, I would probably have Kyrie above him.
If you were to win a chip this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay.
Kawhi doesn't count as a 2. I mean, Tony Parker is a really good number 2 as well, I think.
That's fair.
Tony Parker's really good number 2, I think. But, I mean, you could say Kevin McHale, I guess.
Okay.
But, yeah. Do we want to move on to the Thunder then?
Yeah, for sure. You want to start with Shea?
I mean, if Shea wins the league, we could probably change that picture of Anthony Edwards to Shea.
Facts.
Because he'll probably be the face of the league. And, I mean, less about Shea, but I think with how young the Thunder roster is, and if they're already winning a ring where everybody's biggest problem with the Thunder this playoffs is just their inexperience. Literally anybody who I've talked to has said they're inexperienced, and then some people will say they're rebounding, even though their rebounding has actually been good in the playoffs.
Shout out Jay Will, bro. He's been playing phenomenal ball as a backup big.
Yeah, he's been
balled his ass off last night too.
He's been really good for them. But for them to have this thing where they're too inexperienced and they're too young, and if they win a ring, Denver Nuggets instantly move away from dynasty, and we start talking about the Thunder as a dynasty.
For sure.
Which is scary considering they still have like 10 picks to trade.
Yeah, they already have the 2 future All-Stars in both J-Dub and Chad.
I would say 3.
What
you're saying 2 future All-Stars with those. I was 3 with Shea then.
Yeah, for sure.
3 with Shea then.
They already got their young big 3 for the future, man. And they still have all their first rounders.
Plus they got good complementary pieces around them with a Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins and, as you said, Jay Will.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe too as that shooter.
Yeah. No, this team, like, if they win a ring, they instantly enter the dynasty talk without question.
For sure.
If they win this round, people are going to start the dynasty talk, I think.
Man, if they play Denver, I mean, if they play either team, I would take Denver or Minnesota in that series. But
I have whoever wins Nuggets Timberwolves as the champion.
Yeah. If they were to play against OKC, I got them beating them in 5, like max.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Jokic is a lot different than Derek Lively.
That's very. That's why I got them. Yeah, that's why I'm giving them 5 games max.
I know that we're talking about legacies, but I think Maxi Kleber is such a big loss for the Mavericks this series.
Oh, for sure.
Because Derek Lively has been struggling to guard Chet on that 3-point line, and they've been trying so many defensive schemes to kind of hide him or have him being with the dunker or in the dunker spot, even trying his zone sometimes, and it just.
Yeah, and with Kleber, he's their quickest big. With Dallas, their roster.
Quickest big. Plus, he takes a good rim protector like Chet away from the rim, which helps out a lot.
Yeah, and if OKC, they want to go small, then Dallas, they obviously have Kleber coming off the bench, which they can match with OKC as well.
But, and I also think if we are talking about the Thunder, I think winning that championship, because I've mentioned it throughout the teams, like where you get that recognition as a champion and that media attention, I think they go from, oh, this is solely Shea's team to like that big 3 might be 3 All-Stars. Because with the Celtics, they obviously had 2 All-Stars being the number 1 seed. And we've seen in the past, like, teams can get extra All-Stars for having that high record. The Thunder this year, they obviously weren't respected in that way and only had Shea. Whereas I think in the future, they might be able to get that respect. And we could see all 3 be awarded an All-Star. But, I mean, what do you want us to talk about legacy? I think it's so early to talk about their legacies. I feel like I might be capping it if I talk about their legacies.
Still talking about Shea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Matt, possible new face of the league if you were able to lead this OKC team to the chip. Again, the dynasty talks with how young and talented this Thunder team already is. And also, currently, all-time, top 5 lock has to be really. And if we're talking about all-time for Shea himself, maybe we'll talk about top 75 in the near future if he can keep it up. Obviously, you had the MVP season, finished second in MVP voting, clear superstar now in this league. If you had any doubts about him being a superstar or not, he's definitely showed that he has the capability of being that guy. Also in the playoffs, again, if he were to win a chip, that would be an all-time playoff run, leading a Thunder team that a season ago was a playing squad, and fast forward a year later, winning a chip with all these guys and experienced guys, and with Shea having in his first real playoff run as a clear best player on a top contending team would be special.
No doubt. I was getting this ready for my next argument. How old is Joe Mazzulla? Do you know by chance?
I know he's younger than 40 for sure.
Okay, I got it. So, Mark Daigneault is going to be the first coach I mentioned in this playoffs. Mark Daigneault is the 3rd youngest coach in the NBA. If the Thunder win a championship this year, I think Daigneault could start his argument for going down as like a top 5 coach of all time.
Top 5 coach of all time?
If we're saying the Thunder are going to be that dynasty. Because third youngest team, or 3rd youngest head coach, so he's going to have a lot of time in the league. Winning a championship with this team, where you're going to talk about the gauntlet, Mavericks, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Celtics, I think is pretty tough. And then, I mean, if he stays with the Thunder and the Thunder actually become a dynasty, I think there's a decent argument for him. Top 5, top 10.
Yeah, you're gassing it.
I mean,
brother, you're gassing it.
I mean,
you are gassing it.
Who's in the top 5 right now? Pop,
all-time coaches.
Pop, Spo.
Spo got a way better.
Spo ain't won a ring without LeBron. I saw that yesterday and I sent it to everybody who tells me MJ's better than LeBron.
Congratulations, coach. You need all-time talent to win in this league. Like, basketball is the most talent-dependent sport out of all the major sports around the world.
No. Baseball's less, I think. I think baseball's the only one that's less talent, or more talent. Wait.
More talent-dependent?
Maybe. Wait, no. Baseball's less. I was saying baseball's less.
Basketball, if it's not the best, then it's for sure up there.
Probably so. Well, maybe
especially
soccer.
when you factor in these best-of-7 series.
Yeah.
Going
I would
through
agree with that.
Yeah, so
I would agree with that.
It matters a lot.
I would agree with that. Then I would also say they definitely don't have the best talent in the league this season.
No.
So if they win this year, they might not even have the best talent in the league next year.
This is a dumb argument. I'm sorry. I love Dagnall, but he's not finishing all time as a coach.
I'm just if they become a dynasty,
No.
then what qualifies a coach to be? He already has a head coach of the year award.
Okay.
Because if you're a dynasty, then what else do you have to do as a head coach? Because Steve Kerr's gonna be in that conversation. I think a lot of coaches could have done what Steve Kerr did when in 2017 and 2018. I don't think they're net. I think Eddie, legit, you could put any top 15 coach on that Warriors team and they win.
Doc Rivers.
Yes, with Steph, Clay, KD, and Draymond. You think that LeBron without Kyrie at that time is gonna beat them?
No. Oh, okay. No. If you're going that far, but with the original Warriors big three,
that's fair. That's fair.
Kerr with Doc Rivers, then I don't think
No. I think 15 they need Kerr. I think 17 and 18 they could have done it with the top 15 coach.
That's fair.
And then 16 you could damn near argue a different coach might have kept them that 3-1 series lead.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, what qualifies a coach to be dynasty then, or to be top of the cream of the crop, top all time? Because he's starting to get head coach of the year, starting to get recognized in the league. If he ends up having a dynasty like we're saying, what else do you got to do as a coach? Damn near play on the court?
I mean, not only record wise and awards, just by eye test also.
That's
really.
fair. That's fair.
I just don't think Dagnall has the capability. Although that could possibly change, we don't know. We'll never know with these type of scenarios. But in my opinion, I just don't see that happening. I mean, if you're a coach, which although he is still young, being in his first postseason, if you're getting outcoached by Jason Kidd in the playoff series, then I don't think you'd have a Hall of Fame trajectory as a head coach.
That's fair. Eye test probably doesn't show it. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. But if they get the ring, then eye test would have to show it at some point, which is what we're arguing.
Hey, that's sure. Hey, that's in your eyes, man.
I mean, how do you win a ring in the NBA without good coaching?
Now, I want to say Milwaukee did because Budenholzer was actually solid in the
finals. Yeah, I think Budenholzer gets a little too much hate.
That's fair. Let's wrap it up and move to the East.
Yeah. Which your series or my series?
Your series. We'll go with
my series. Damn. This is hard to talk about. I'm actually so nervous for tonight because we are not the same team without OG. No. We were talking about Shea and Luka in the last series for MVP. Damn near, we might have to put OG in that conversation. Yeah. But I mean, Jalen Brunson goes down as the greatest Knick of all time.
Oh, clearly.
If we win a ring,
he's way better than Melo.
Melo's not even two.
He's easily been the best Knick since Patrick Ewing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think right now the best Knick is Walt Frazier, personally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would have Ewing.
And then you have Willis Reed in there too.
Yeah, Willis Reed, and then I would honestly probably have Brunson over Melo. I mean, maybe not yet, but I think Brunson.
I honestly would put him over Melo.
Yeah,
right now.
I don't hate that. But I mean, I've talked about a secondary piece in every other series. This I mentioned in our opening. I wasn't going to talk about a secondary piece for the Knicks because there is none. But I mean, I guess what I could say is what happens with Julius Randle if we win a ring. Because, I mean, he's been out the entire postseason. A lot of people are saying we look better without him. I'm personally on the opposite side of that spectrum. But, I mean, what happens with him if we win a ring?
Run it back.
Yeah, I would agree. By the way, speaking of which, to all you people who are saying that we are better without Julius Randle, you do not watch the NBA regular season. Because you do not see what we were doing when we were healthy for that 14-game stretch in January. Now, I understand small sample size, yada, yada, yada. But best basketball he was playing of his career, best basketball I've seen to date, including that MIP season. I just think that he's a little disrespected. But, I mean, that's what happens when you've been a bad playoff performer in the past. I understand that.
I mean, even then, just having another scoring threat and a guy who can take the attention away from Brunson as well, give him easier looks on the offensive side. It goes a long way.
Yeah, and that's why the OG loss is super big right now is because, like, OG spaced the floor for us. And not Pascal. Precious Achuya, he'll get the ball and he's not looking for a shot at all. He's just looking to do a DHO.
No, he's a weak offensive player.
Yeah, which, I mean, I don't want to do too much of like takeaways and scheme from series, but I love Josh Hart. Josh Hart is an elite defender. Take Josh Hart off Pascal. There's no reason Precious should be in the starting lineup if he's not defending Pascal Siakam. Josh Hart's a great defender, but Pascal has too much size, and that's what we saw in Game 4.
Mm-hmm.
Put Josh Hart, our best perimeter defender, on Tyrese Halliburton, and let Precious, our best interior defender, defend Pascal. That's what I think.
Fair. But back to Brunson.
Back to Brunson. Best Knick of all time. And, I mean, I don't even know what to talk about because, like, if he and the Knicks win, the media would be absolutely insane.
No, but let's talk about the anomaly if Brunson were to lead this team to a chip. You look all across the NBA's history, all the teams that have won it, they're all led by wings and bigs.
Yeah.
The only time where a team won a chip with a guard leading the way, a point guard, was Steph Curry. And even then, he was 6'3" and is the greatest shooter of all time and arguably the best offensive player of all time. So if Brunson, who is a 6', 6'1" point guard, did that achievement where not even AI with the Sixers back in 2001, not even he could do it, it would be a complete anomaly. Anomaly, excuse me.
And I don't know if you remember this, but earlier in the year, where I think it was on ESPN, and Becky Hammond was on, and she was saying when they were asked about Knicks and Jalen Brunson as a 1A, this was her direct quote. I just pulled it up. He's too small. If your best player is small, you're not winning. Steph Curry is the only dude, which to right now in history has been correct. However, if Jalen Brunson does do that and he does win an NBA championship, that argument just completely evaporates, I think.
Which, when she said it, I completely agreed because it's true. Like, there's been over, 70-year no space of teams not winning it all with a small point guard. And it's going to continue, unfortunately. But if that were to happen, that with Brunson, that would be completely insane.
That would be insane. I'm so there for it. I mean, I'm not going to complain if it happens.
Okay, so one question before we move on to the next player.
Yeah.
If the New York Knicks, whether they win this year or in the near future, hopefully, what would you do?
What would I've already thought of. I think I would fly for the parade.
Okay.
I think I would fly for the parade. The parade in New York would be insane. They're going to start the parade 2 days before the actual parade. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, it might not be the safest thing, and it might not look nice in my bank account.
At all. No. I mean, they're going to send it to National Guard, the government, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be the closest thing to a riot, probably.
It will be a riot.
But, I'll be there for it.
Oh, God.
But I don't know. I've always hoped like that if the Knicks made it, they would play the Nuggets in the finals so that I could go to a game. Mm-hmm. Like if the Knicks and Nuggets are in the finals, like I'll be there for the game no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be courtside or sitting close, but I'll be in the nosebleeds for sure. And I'll be happy with my seat. But like I don't know. I would be ecstatic, and I would be insufferable in the group chat.
Fair enough.
Like you guys were like, "Oh my God, Tyrese, please save us!" After one playoff series where we beat Joel Embiid. Imagine what I would do if we won a championship.
I didn't say that.
Nah, you didn't. But there were a couple of guys in the group chat. But shall we move on to the Pacers?
Sure.
I mean, I'll actually start with Pascal Siakam.
Damn, not even Halliburton?
No. Well.
Okay, fair.
But just because Pascal at this point would be a multiple-time champion. Mm-hmm. And see, Pascal's like one of those interesting cases where I think that he wouldn't be Hall of Fame, but I think Jamal would. But I think Pascal enters like Hall of Very Good for sure. For sure. Would he be the best African? No. That's Hakeem. Yeah. Hakeem.
Hakeem, yeah.
For sure. That's why I stopped mid-sentence because I realized that.
But he'd be probably
top 5.
Top
easy.
5 minimum.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. But, I mean, that would be huge for Pascal. It would be huge for their GM, too. GM would definitely like go down.
Yeah, making that win now move, getting Siakam mid-season as well, helping improve that roster, giving Halliburton more offensive help.
Plus the trade for Halliburton, which, I mean, we all said it looked like a fleece at the time, and I mean we've been right so far.
Yeah.
Where I mean Wally Zerbiak kind of said the opposite, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, that's weird, but people have their opinions.
But I mean, he's done a phenomenal job building the team. We're talking about winning championships. I don't think the Pacers are there quite yet, but in this hypothetical, I think if they do, he goes down as probably like a top 5 executive in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we already said Pascal goes down as like a top 3-5 African player of all time. And then Tyrese starts to enter that conversation of, is he going to be the future face of the league?
Also, you add the fact that the greatest pacer of all time debates, he has a much stronger case, winning a chip over Reggie Miller. That could be a conversation, huge conversation down the line. Also, he'd seriously be in those best point guard in the league talks.
Yeah. Who would you have if Tyrese and the Pacers win a championship this year? Are you taking Reggie Miller or Tyrese all time? That's the greatest pacer.
If Halliburton is the clear best player throughout the rest of this postseason, I honestly would.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it wouldn't be recency bias playing into that.
True.
Being a massive factor.
True. I mean, if he does it, then he'd be the only one to beat the Knicks.
That's true.
He'd be the only one to beat the Knicks. But yeah, he definitely enters that debate of like top point guard, because I remember like super earlier in the year, you posed the question on the podcast of if Tyrese is already top 3 when he was going on that insane run to start the year. And I mean, I don't necessarily think he's there right now. I think Brunson has honestly overtaken him for that question.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he wins a championship, he definitely has a very, very strong argument for that case.
For sure.
And he would probably be above Brunson, honestly, if he is, like you said, that number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else to add?
Nah.
Yeah, the East is so like depressing. It's honestly, we're gonna talk about the Celtics, but I think that might be a problem for the Celtics in the playoff or in the finals.
What do you mean?
Like, y'all have been able to coast, because I honestly think it is coasting in a sense, just with the lack of competition in the East, where like when you do play an intense team like who I'm predicting to be the Timberwolves or the Nuggets, you might just lose a game outright because you're not like playing at that high intensity that they have been playing at for the last month and a half.
Also, fatigue could be at play here because we're not playing long series, which for all of these other teams in the West,
True.
they're in dogfights. They've been in dogfights even for the first round.
That's
although for three of those teams, the Thunder, Wolves, and Nuggets, they all at least swept or beat their opponent in 5 games. All those teams had some type of talent.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's actually a really good point. Because they probably will be healthier and the more rested team going into the playoffs or going into the finals.
Mm-hmm.
But why don't you start us off with the Celtics? What does the ring do to Jason Tatum's legacy?
Okay, first of all, off the court, obviously makes him a super contender for face of the league, especially for a guy his caliber.
Mm-hmm.
Being on winning teams, leading the Celtics consistently to the Eastern Conference Finals throughout his career. If he were able to wrap his young resume up with a Finals chip, also with a Finals MVP, that would be at play. Also, with him being a top 5 player in the NBA currently, he would have a much stronger case. Top 75 all time, he would be a serious contender for that as well. Also, being in best small forward all time list in his respective position, have a strong case for that as well. Hopefully it can happen. Obviously, he's picked it up the last 2 games versus Cleveland, where Derek White has been massively struggling on both sides of the ball. Al Horford, his legs have been watered down. Defensively, he's been really poor. If he can continue to step up as that clear best player on a championship-winning team, a historical team, maybe even, that would do great for his resume.
Yeah, we talked a lot about like narratives that are going on around players, especially like in this conversation. And Jason Tatum arguably has the most like negative narratives going on around him where, oh, this guy has always had the best rosters around him and he's never been able to live up to his potential. Oh, he's underperformed in the playoffs. We saw what he did in the finals. He didn't look to be himself. And if he wins a championship, granted, I think this is the best roster he has had in his career. But if he wins a championship, all that narrative goes away.
Yeah, and continue speaking on narratives. Every single little thing that goes wrong, especially this season with the Celtics, has been heavily criticizing Jason Tatum, which that is an indictment on how good he's been, how good the Celtics have been since he's been able to take over since the post-Kyrie era, really.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if I'm sure you remember this. I think it was against the Orlando Magic where you guys drew up the play for the game-winning shot for Jason Tatum instead of Kyrie, and that was kind of like you guys giving the keys to Jason Tatum for the franchise. And obviously, the Boston Celtics are one of the most storied, one of the most historic franchises in the NBA. And so to be the face, to be the guy of the franchise, of one of the probably the second most historic franchise in the league, I would probably have Lakers above you.
That's fair.
But to have that, to be the guy who answers that call and wins you a ring and gets you your first ring since 08, second ring since 87, is insane. And it would be phenomenal for his career. It would go down on his legacy. And he's probably already like in the Hall of Fame conversation, but it would honestly elevate him to like first ballot.
For sure.
And then I'll stick on my role of talking about secondary pieces. For Jaylen Brown, nobody even mentions the contract anymore. No, nobody cares about the contract if you get the ring.
No, it's like the same thing when the Nuggets won it. I mean, the accused critique about their roster was MPJ's contract. They gave him too much money. They won the chip. No one cares.
Nobody cares. I'm trying to think, because wasn't there a recent one in the NFL with the same thing? Like, I know, obviously, I mean, we didn't really pay Stafford a ton, but we traded a ton for him, which ended up being like Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta.
Also with the Chiefs, Mahomes, he got that $500 million deal.
Yeah, but that's justified.
No, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to contract, people were saying, the Chiefs could have issues potentially with them being not being able to re-sign players.
True. And like I was saying, I mean, I even just said like, oh, that's justified. I say it's justified because I've seen Mahomes win 2 rings. Or 3 rings. 3 rings, right?
Well, one at the time, 2 Super Bowl appearances before he got the contract.
But like, for Mahomes, like I'd say it's justified because he has those rings. For Brown, he doesn't have the rings right now. And if they don't get the ring this year, then, we start to look at, hey, this is their most talented roster of all time. You have Brown on this big contract. How can you improve any more? Whereas if you win now, you can say, oh, look, yes, we paid him, but look, it paid off in a ring. You can't say anything, and we can run it back with the same squad.
Absolutely.
So I think that's huge for them. I would think that's huge for them. And then they honestly start to enter maybe the dynasty debate.
Horford Hall of Famer with the chip, man. Let's get it.
No.
Let's get it.
No. But Porzingis might be able to start to make a debate for himself.
Hell no.
If y'all win a ring and then you do become that dynasty,
Al Horford would be the player, not Porzingis. I would keep for that instead of Porzingis. Al Horford being Hall of Famer.
Let Porzingis play his whole career.
Whatever.
I would hope that Al Horford would retire after this season if y'all win.
I think he will.
Yeah.
Which I hope you give him that proper send off because he's been one of my favorite Celtics of all time, really. So I love Al, man. He's been the way he showed up when it mattered the most in these past postseasons has been incredible to watch.
Yeah.
So if you were able to give him that proper send off by winning a chip, it would be insane, man. Very insane.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fair. I would throw Peyton Pritchard in that Hall of Fame debate too.
Fuck no. Although he's made a strong case of him being arguably being the best backup point guard in the league. Really, he's been stepping up perfectly for this team
best
in the postseason. I mean, look, he makes a strong case.
I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. Who is? I mean, Malik Monk. Are we counting him as a point guard?
No.
That's fair. I mean, I would take Miles McBride, but that might be fan bias.
I take Payne Pritchard, but that might be fan
See,
bias.
I'm trying to see if there's a consensus guy we could agree on. Let's see here.
I'm trying to think.
Bucks backup point guard is Campaign. No, I would take him over Craig Porter Jr. I mean, who's the Magic backup point guard? Is it Cole Anthony? Is it Markelle Fultz?
Cole Anthony. I'd still take Payne Pritchard.
Yeah, probably. Oh, TJ McConnell. I would rather have TJ McConnell.
Fair. That's fair.
I'd rather have TJ McConnell. And no, Alex Caruso is in a backup. Alex Caruso is definitely the starting shooting guard on that team. With or without Zach LaVine, I think.
Wouldn't Io be the starting backup point guard?
Oh yeah, I would. But
I take Pritchard.
Yeah, I would too. Hawks, they don't really got a backup point guard.
No.
Nets starting point guard is probably worse. Reggie Jackson, Monte Morris, no.
Nah. Hey man, all I can say is that he's an elite backup point guard, and that's all that matters. So.
This man wanted his minutes cut in the regular season.
I didn't see the light, so salute to Joe for, sticking with him throughout the season.
Who's the Pelicans' backup point guard? Is it Dyson Daniels?
Yeah.
No. Nope. Yeah.
All right, man. You wanna wrap this up?
Yeah. Leave a like and subscribe to Lunchroom Debates on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, TikTok, all of the platforms. Keep listening, keep liking, keep showing your love, and we'll keep getting you guys content.
Absolutely. If you guys have stuck around to watch this episode, we thank y'all for the love and support. More content on the way throughout the rest of this summer, man. We can't wait any longer. We're very excited.
Facts.
Hey, we hope to keep putting out the good work for y'all to listen and watch.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And we out.
Yep.
Peace. Bro, I thought that Anthony Edwards reel I made for top 10, I thought that shit was going to cook.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It did do good on, I didn't check TikTok.
Nah, it was a break, unfortunately.
Bro, I was so surprised. I thought, I made that, and I was like, man, this one I think is going to be, like...
Bro, we had a couple breaks recently, bro, on YouTube. It's crazy, boy.
I saw. But your reel was good on YouTube, I saw.
The Shea one?
Yeah, the Shea one. Oh, I should probably go stop the recording.
Did it stop?